We know that we start our first part of the meeting with hearing from our business leader or our entrepreneur, an African-American female entrepreneur or a business person. And Lou Spain is our member that reaches out and identifies for us who we need to be hearing from. Without further ado, I will turn the program over to Lou so that she can introduce our speaker for this evening.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I won't take up a lot of time because I want to give Breanne as much more time as she can have since she has to leave early. She is the founder of ForWard Consulting, LLC. She runs that. Her husband, Moses Ward Sr., is her director of operations. I have put the link to their website in the chat, and
we've lost you. I'm not hearing.
Lou, I think you muted
Lou's
yourself.
on mute.
Yeah, you muted yourself.
Yeah, Lou is on mute.
okay, I must have hit the wrong button. I'm sure you heard some of that. So I put her website in the chat so that you can go and take a look at that. I've seen her around a lot, but I didn't really know who she was. I became more aware of her when she opened an office on University just a couple of blocks from my store. So welcome to the neighborhood, Breanne.
Thank you.
Without further ado, please go ahead and give us information about what you do.
Absolutely. I just, I had to transport myself outside, and hearing how you started the introduction of me, it's just like, man, look what God has done. Never in a million years would I have guessed that I'd be sitting in this seat talking as an entrepreneur. So thank you for the opportunity. Again, my name is Breanne Ward. I am owner and operator of ForWard Consulting, LLC. It is a group practice that began out of a dream. So I thought that I was going to be a motivational speaker and that ForWard Consulting LLC would be my side hustle. The name was inspired on my way to McDonald's. I was about 7 months pregnant, and I was going to McDonald's to get some French fries. And as I was driving, it was loud as and clear as day what my name of the company was going to be. God told me to hold it because I'll be using it later. I started my first ventures at EFR, assisting those who were employee assistant program, like kind of customer service reps, kind of talking about trauma with them. And then as years went on, I am now here talking to you about my group practice. So what does that mean? In our office, we work with a lot of people who have survived and is overcoming traumatic events. When I hear the word trauma, I am so often remiss of the day where I heard Andrew Jacobs, one of my Drake University graduate professors, say, trauma is something that happened to you or around you that you didn't ask for, and you're left by yourself to figure it out. So that's a lot. And that can encompass a lot of events and a lot of interpretations of what trauma is. We see probably 70 to 75% of Medicaid recipients. And then the others are private pay and private insurance policies. We assist those who are 14 years and up with anything from depression, anxiety, family disruption, system involvement, community reentry, women's issues, post-traumatic stress disorder, racial trauma, couple and relationship issues. Right now, it is myself. We have another woman of color, Miss Joan Tamara, who will be starting her venture, hopefully in September, to be a private practice owner. And then we have Miss Michaela Jens, who is our white ally in the office. Just last week, I began the process of being trained in EMDR It is another practice to assist people to desensitize the charged memories of their trauma. EMDR stands for eye movement, desensitization, rapidization. All that means in layman terms is when we have a traumatic event that comes into our lives, by nature or organically, we're supposed to go to sleep, get into that REM sleep so that it can resolve and get into the long-term part of our brain, the hippocampus. That doesn't usually happen, especially for people of color, because we have to keep on going. We have to keep on being strong. We have to keep being who we need to be for others, which means that sometimes that collides some traumatic events. And so we never get to have that restful, deep sleep. Well, with EMDR, we engage by using bilateral stimulation, which is tapping ourselves or using some kind of instrument that will allow our eyes to move back and forth so that we can resolve that trauma. Why do I think it is important for people of color to engage into the therapeutic process? There's so many reasons, but here's number one. We have, I call it transmission of trauma through our generations of slavery, of our generations of being sold, and of our generations of core horse poverty. And so I think it's very important for us to be the light, or to be kind of like the bookend to say no more, and start to do the work so that our later generations don't have to deal with what we've dealt with. It is in the statistics of trauma, it is stated that it takes 7 generations for trauma to leave a family dynamic. And so I always try to count and say, which one am I on? I hope I'm at 7 so we can start anew, right? We know the number 8 stands for new beginnings. And so that's what I'm trying to implement within my personal family. But our hours at ForWard Consulting are 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. We do have a business line that you can find on our website. And you can call, you will get a call back with between 4 to 6 hours. Trying to think of anything else. The intake process is pretty simple. Once you reach out to us, we get your email address, and we allow you to go onto our website and complete the forms. And you can do it from your phone or from a device. All you gotta do is make sure you click that orange button, and those forms will come straight to our office. We accept the insurance that we have, it's on our page, but we accept Medicaid, we accept Iowa Total Care, we accept AmeriGroup, we accept Cigna, we accept UHC, Wellmark, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna. I think I got them all. Yes. If I forgot some, they will be on the website under services. Trying to think, do you all have any questions for me in regards to ForWard Consulting?
Sure. How do you normally get your referrals? People.
Word of mouth, Miss Lou.
Yeah.
That has been the driving force to keep ForWard Consulting afloat and alive. So those who have said great things about ForWard Consulting, who's here, thank you so much. Any other questions that I can? Yes, Ms. Sharon.
Yes, if I was a client of yours, would I be, it all depends on my condition, 2 times a week or 3 times a week? I'm sorry, it's late getting in and out, so you might have already answered that. What is the most frequency that you meet someone during the week that they would come to your office?
Yes, so insurance says 2 times a week is good enough.
Okay.
But based on, like you said, Deaconess Brown, depending on the severity of the symptoms, then we could talk about frequency. I have some that are monthly, I have some that are biweekly, and I do have a few clients who are twice a week.
Okay, very good. There's no age limit or anything on that?
14 and up.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Sabina.
Thank you. Hi, Breanne.
Hi.
Thank you. I'm really amazed at your work, and I've been a fan of yours from afar. And I was wondering, with the large amount of clientele that you have, especially dealing with people in the margins, what's the profile of the client that you don't see, that you wish you could see, or that really needs your services? Who's missing from having access to you?
Black males. I have had an uptick since the last part of May, but Black males, I wish that I could see more of. And I know why, stereotypically why. But I'm thinking that the gentleman that I have on my caseload starting at the end of May, I'm hoping by their word of mouth, it will help change some of their peers' minds.
It's interesting you say that. I was just listening to, you know who Rob Johnson is?
I do.
Okay, Rob has an online show. Recently, he did it with 3 other men. And one of the topics that came up was, in fact, mental health and the fact that more Black men. So it might be a good idea to contact him and get on his show to see if you can reach more Black men that way.
Yeah. So, and Miss Lou, I know about Urban Impact, but he has been working on Code Red. I think it's for NAACP as well. But they were trying to do a part 2 of a movement for mental health regarding the Black faith community. And we did talk about having a connection with Black males as well. So I think it's under wraps. It's in motion. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that I can include.
My question is, have you seen many teens, because you hear more and more about teen suicides.
Oh, absolutely.
So, what, can you share a little bit about that, the need and the concern, what you're seeing in that area?
Yes.
And I was going to say, as you do address that, thank you, Dr. Chapman, because that was a question I was going to go to. What relationships you may have with the public school district as well, or if there is one.
Right. So, Dr. Chapman, to answer your question, what I've been seeing, especially since pandemic, family problems that were negated by distraction and busyness, because of pandemic, because of COVID, because of stay-at-home orders and all the restrictions. It has allowed family matters to amplify and to be magnified. And so what I have seen is a lot of mother-daughter struggles. Mothers thinking that they are demonstrating strength for their children, but their children are seeing it as weaknesses, meaning staying in toxic, unhealthy relationships, using money as a ploy to keep children at bay. I'll give you whatever you want to stay away from me. When children are saying, teens are saying, but I need you, I want you. So that has been what we've been seeing in our office. We've even had some mother-daughter brawls in public places, and they come to us and say, can you help us? So that has been some things that we've been seeing. And then Ms. Janice, we do kind of case by case. Usually what has happened, so my work did start out working in the schools. I was a clinician at New Site Incorporated. So we would go into schools and we would go into spaces where they needed us. But what I have found is that some of our students feel unsafe speaking about their issues in the school setting. And so what I've been doing is trying to become close allies with the success workers, or there's a new position now in schools. Oh gosh, I know you guys know probably the position, but it's the restorative justice liaison that replaced the officers in the school. So I've been trying to become friends with them and allow them to be that catalyst to get kids or youth to come into my office so they can feel safe enough to game plan on what they want to do to assist them with feeling safe in their skin and in their environment. I hope that helped.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions, lady? This, mental health is an issue that we talk about, and especially in communities of color, the African American community, and having, culturally competent, having someone that looked like you to talk to, that is something that makes it easy for someone to share what's happening with them, I think, because of someone that is familiar with either the background, some family, similar family history, because that's difficult to find someone that looked like you, and especially where we live, in Iowa, finding practitioners clinicians that look like us. Brandy Miller, and then Janice, and then Sister Sharon.
Hello. Hi, Bree.
Hi, sister.
Hi, sister. How you doing?
I'm good.
So you're looking good too, sweetie. So
Thank you.
I do have a question. So
Yes, ma'am.
in comparison to taking young people, to counseling outside of the school, because they now have these in-school practitioners that are assigned to specific schools, is there an advantage or disadvantage? I mean, I'm thinking the convenience of having a practitioner in the school, so therefore you don't have to leave your job and take your kid to an appointment. But it's when weighing the pros and the cons, is that worth it, or is it worth having someone outside of the school? Does that make sense?
So, sis, there's a couple things with that. Do I find it, a lot of the schools, they're the safe haven for a lot of children. And so I have seen benefits of kids wanting to do school, or doing therapy in schools, but I've also seen a lot of children who say, I don't want to participate because I feel like someone's going to be hearing me and my stuff is going to be passed around to the other teachers, and I just need a confidential space. So I've seen both sides, but I think if I can create better strategies to have those relationships with those new people within the school, the new positions within the school, I think we might can get somewhere. I've been around teachers who after, well, let me tell you about this student, let me tell you about this student, let me tell you what they've been doing, let me tell you what they tell you, no. And it's just like, I didn't come here for that. I didn't come here for you. You know what I mean? So that has been the downside.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Sister Sharon, do you want to go? And then Janice, if you want to go again, you can.
No, I can go after Janice. That's fine.
Okay.
Sister Janice, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be brief. I was just going to say, have you considered establishing partnerships like with Bo James or Valora James? I think of Hip Hope and some of the Hip Hope and Many Shades of Color, where they have these big events where you may have like a table or some sort of representation so that you can at least en masse let people know you are who you are, what you do, and that you're available.
Yes, Miss Janice. Dr. Chapman, can you let me in on my phone? I'm gonna be mobile here pretty soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Janice. So I have been heavily involved with Hip Hope. I've been a presenter, and they've been a referral source to me as well. So sometimes I get just a little tad nervous about putting tables up, because I want to make sure that I have enough manpower. And as soon as we opened up our private practice, January 2021, our books have been solid. We've been having waiting lists for maybe 2 to 6 weeks at times because of the demand. So yes, I've been working very in-depthly with Hip Hope and other organizations, but it's kind of like a referral or training or psychoeducational type of relationship.
Sharon?
Okay, yes. Sister, the question I have in relationship to the COVID, the stressors and possible depression, are you seeing some of that in not just the young as well, you know, seasoned individuals like myself, the concern and worry about that, and the fact that some families, people that have passed away, have you been dealing with clients in that manner?
Yes, ma'am, I have. My oldest client at this current time is 75 years old. And that has always been a concern. When the civil unrest even came about, that was a concern for, I call you all my seasoned saints.
Oh, that's
But
right.
but yes, that has been a concern, Madam. And so what we've been actually trying to do is trying to create the ability for them to feel safe in their bodies, and to be able to give themselves permission to feel. Because if you think about generations, a lot of generations did not promote feeling. They did not promote expressing your emotion, because if you did, you know this, the end of the statement. You're weak. You're too sensitive, and so people have gotten sick from holding on to things of that nature. Diabetes, hypertension, all of those things. So yes, I have seen an uptick in clients who are older, but I've also seen them allowing themselves to find permission and voice to say what they need, and even if it feels weird, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yes. Thank you. And thank you for your service and what you're doing. This is times like these. People need a listening ear.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon, so much.
I have one more question, and it came about through listening to Ms. Sharon's question. Are you noticing any trends when it comes to people on the front lines of the racial reckoning who need some type of helping hand when it comes to working through any trauma that they experience? And if so, how is that different from other practices as far as methodologies that you use?
That is a good question.
I know she had another event that she's trying to get to, so it may be that she's
With the movement.
But not,
We didn't hear, we missed some
I haven't
points,
had
Breanne.
anybody that I've been serving now. I will say this. Uh-oh, am I being wrong?
I think she's still frozen.
Well, I appreciate hearing. Oh, there she is. I was going to say, I
back.
appreciate you joining us.
We missed some of it, Breanne, if you can repeat some of your comments.
Yes, I am so sorry.
No, that's
My
okay.
Wi-Fi disconnected in my travel, but I have not, Ms. Sabina, seen an increase in those who are doing the work, needing some, support. However, I did have a worker. She was a teacher, and the despair in her voice said that I should be expecting more calls. Because she's been advocating, doing Black Lives Matter things, advocating for her students, and feeling that the traumatic, I would say the traumatic thrust of that. So maybe in a month or two, I can answer your question.
Well, thank you for your time and sharing that very important piece of invaluable, important piece of information. Are there any additional questions before we disconnect? I know that Breanne is on her way to our next appointment.
Thank you all for allowing me to be flexible and be me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you coming and talking to us, Breanne.
That's what it's all about. We're all busy women, so we have to catch you when we can.
Good evening.
And thank you so much. And just so you guys know, I am going to support the Central District Baptist Association tonight. This is a big week for my husband because he is looking to be moderator of the district. So every night I will be there at 7 o'clock sharp, making sure that I support a Mr. who supported me through all of my business adventures.
Okay, yes, okay, good. Well, he'll be a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Right.